Billionaire sees street boy feeding his wheelchair-bound daughter, and it changes his life. Benjamin Harrison was exhausted after yet another endless meeting when he pulled his car into the parking lot of Central Park in New York City. He needed to catch his breath before heading home, where more problems awaited him. That's when he saw something that stopped him in his tracks. A small boy, no older than 4, wearing worn but clean clothes, was kneeling beside the wheelchair, where his daughter Emma sat. The boy carefully held a spoonful of baby food, making gentle motions as he whispered to the girl while feeding her. The nanny, Nancy, was fast asleep on a nearby bench, completely unaware of the scene. "Look, Emma, here comes the airplane," the boy said in his tiny voice. "Vroom, vroom, open your mouth." Benjamin felt his blood boil. How dare this street kid touch his daughter? Emma was only 2.5 and had required special care since being born prematurely with cerebral palsy. He strode forward, ready to confront him. "Hey kid, what do you think you're doing?" His voice came out harsher than he intended. The boy turned, startled, his big brown eyes filled with fear. He dropped the spoon into the jar and took 2 steps back. I was just helping her eat, mister. She was hungry. Get away from my daughter right now." Benjamin pointed into the distance. "And I don't want to see you around here ever again." Emma, who had been calm and smiling, suddenly burst into desperate tears as the boy retreated. Her little arms flailed toward him and high-pitched cries escaped her throat. Benjamin was stunned. For months, his daughter had shown no emotion, remaining apathetic and distant ever since Catherine, his wife, had died in a car accident. "Emma, sweetheart, calm down, Daddy's here." He tried to soothe her, but her cries only grew louder. Nancy woke to the noise, jumping up from the bench with a pale face. "Mr. Benjamin, I only closed my eyes for a minute." "You're fired," he snapped, scooping Emma into his arms. "Gather your things and get out of my sight." The boy watched from a distance, tears rolling down his chubby cheeks. As Benjamin walked past, carrying Emma, who was still crying and reaching for him, the boy whispered, "I'm sorry, Emma. I didn't mean to make you sad." In the days that followed, the situation at home became unbearable. Emma refused all food, turning her head away whenever the new nannies tried to feed her. Benjamin tried himself, the cooks tried, and he even called in a specialist nurse. Nothing worked. The little girl just cried and pointed at the door, as if waiting for someone. "Doctor, she hasn't eaten in 3 days," Benjamin said desperately in the pediatrician's office. "We've tried everything." Dr. Richard examined Emma carefully, noting her weakened state. "Benjamin, your daughter already has a fragile condition. If she keeps refusing food, we'll have to hospitalize her for IV nutrition. But that's only a temporary fix. You said she was eating normally with someone in the park." "A street kid." Benjamin rubbed his face. "I have no idea who he was." "Then I suggest you find him." Emma clearly formed a bond with that child. Swallowing his pride, Benjamin sent Robert, his driver, to search for the boy around Central Park. 2 days passed with no success. Emma grew weaker by the hour, and desperation filled the house. It was Dorothy, the cook who had worked with the family for 20 years, who finally broke the silence. "Mr. Benjamin, I need to tell you something. That boy, I know who he is." "What do you mean? Why didn't you say so before?" "Because you would have been angry. His name is Ethan. He lives in a squat nearby in the abandoned building on Broadway. Nancy would let him play with Emma when you weren't around. It's been about 3 weeks now." 3 weeks? Benjamin couldn't believe what he was hearing. "And you all hid this from me?" "The boy is sweet, sir, never caused any harm. Emma was so happy whenever he showed up. It was the only time she smiled since Mrs. Catherine—" The cook couldn't finish her sentence. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. With no other choice, Benjamin went to the occupation himself. The building was an old abandoned hotel with families living in poor conditions. He asked for Ethan until an elderly woman, thin and with a face marked by time, approached him, leaning on a makeshift cane. "Are you Emma's father?" she asked weakly. "I am. I need to speak with Ethan." He's hiding, scared. He thought he did something very wrong. The boy won't stop crying, saying his little friend will go hungry because of him. Mom, Martha, I'm Ethan's grandmother. I've raised him since he was born. Mrs. Martha, my daughter hasn't eaten in days. She'll only take food from your grandson. Please, I need his help. The old woman studied Benjamin for a long moment. Ethan is only 4, but he's already been through so much. His parents, well, they're no longer here. He's all I have left. If you promise not to hurt my boy, I'll call him. Ethan appeared, clinging to his grandmother's skirt, his little face still streaked with tears. When he saw Benjamin, he tried to hide again. Hi, Ethan. Benjamin crouched down, trying to seem less intimidating. Emma misses you so much. Is she okay? His tiny voice trembled. She won't eat without you. She's getting sick. The boy's eyes widened, genuinely worried. But the man told me never to go near her again. I was wrong. Can you come see her, please? Ethan looked at his grandmother, who nodded. Can I bring my grandma too? Benjamin glanced at the elderly woman, noticing her difficulty walking. Of course, we'll take my car. During the ride, Mrs. Martha shared a bit of their story. Ethan had lost his parents 2 years ago. His mother fell ill, and his father abandoned them. Since then, they'd lived in the occupation, surviving on her small pension and help from neighbors. He saw Emma in the park one day and was enchanted, she explained. Said she looked like a little angel. The woman watching her let him approach, and this beautiful friendship began. When they arrived at the Harrison mansion, Emma was in her room, pale and listless. But the moment she heard Ethan's voice in the hallway, her little eyes lit up. Emma! The boy ran to the bed. Your tummy must be empty, huh? Ethan brought a surprise. From his torn pocket, he pulled out a handmade cloth doll. Grandma made it, so you won't be lonely when I'm not here. Emma clutched the doll and for the first time in days smiled. Ethan picked up the plate of food the nurse had prepared. Now let's fill that tummy. Here comes the airplane. And like magic, Emma opened her mouth and began to eat. Benjamin watched in astonishment. How could such a small boy achieve what trained adults couldn't? He has a gift, Mrs. Martha whispered beside him. Some children are born with hearts bigger than their bodies. From that day on, a routine was set. Ethan came 3 times a day for Emma's meals. Benjamin offered to pay, but Mrs. Martha refused, with dignity. Friendship isn't for sale, sir. My grandson does this because he cares for your daughter, not for money. Weeks passed and the change in Emma was visible. Not only did she eat better, but she also began to interact more, trying to babble words to Ethan. The boy, in turn, created elaborate stories, put on little plays with his toys, and sang songs he made up on the spot. One morning, Ethan didn't show up. Emma grew restless, refusing breakfast. Benjamin went to the settlement and found the boy caring for his grandmother, who was burning with fever. She's sick, Ethan explained through tears. I can't make her better. Why didn't you tell me? Benjamin checked Dorothy's temperature. It was dangerously high. We manage, the elderly woman murmured weakly. It's always been this way. It doesn't have to be. Robert, he called to the driver. Take her to the hospital, now. At the private hospital, the doctors diagnosed advanced pneumonia. Dorothy would need to stay for at least a week. Ethan refused to leave her side. What about Emma? The boy was torn. She'll go hungry. How about this? Benjamin suggested. You stay here with your grandmother in the morning and in the afternoon. You go take care of Emma. I'll stay with Dorothy while you're there. It was the first time Benjamin truly spoke with the elderly woman. He discovered she had known Catherine, his late wife, many years ago. She used to come to the settlement, Dorothy shared, brought food, medicine. Such a kind soul, your Catherine. Never wanted anyone to know. Asked for secrecy. Benjamin felt a tightness in his chest. Catherine had never mentioned these visits. She said one day she'd convince you to help our people in a bigger way, the old woman continued. But God had other plans. That afternoon when he went to pick up Ethan, Benjamin found the boy teaching Emma how to clap. The little girl, seated in her special chair, tried to coordinate her movements while laughing. That's it, Emma. Ethan cheered at every attempt. You can do it. How long has she been trying to do this? Benjamin asked the physical therapist. This is the first time I've seen her try, sir. That boy works miracles. But Benjamin began to notice something else. Ethan, despite his young age, showed exhaustion that wasn't normal. Sometimes he'd stop mid-play to catch his breath. Are you okay, Ethan? He asked one day. Yeah, Uncle. Just get tired sometimes. Benjamin insisted the boy be examined by Emma's pediatrician. The results were concerning. Ethan was malnourished and severely anemic. How does this child still have the energy to care for another? Dr. B. Richard was amazed. He said his grandmother always gives him the better food, Benjamin recalled. But now I understand. She probably goes without to feed him. The situation at the company grew complicated as Benjamin split his time between the office and the children. His partner, Gregory Parker, didn't hide his irritation. You're losing focus, Benjamin. We have million-dollar contracts at stake and you're playing babysitter. My daughter is my priority. Your daughter? Or that slum kid? Employees talk, you take that boy everywhere. Benjamin clenched his fists but kept his composure. Watch your words, Gregory. Just giving you a heads up. Catherine isn't here to hold you back anymore. Keep this up and I'll have to take drastic measures. Gregory's threats weren't empty. He began undermining Benjamin's authority. In meetings, questioning his decisions, and hinting grief had made him unstable. At home, however, small miracles happened daily. Emma began vocalizing more, trying to say Ethan's name. It came out as Effie. The boy, now well-fed and medicated, regained the natural energy of his age. One afternoon, while playing in the garden, Ethan asked a question that caught Benjamin off guard. Uncle, why do you look sad when you see Emma? I'm not sad. Yes, you are. Your eyes look like Grandma's when she remembers my dad. The child's perception stunned him. It's just, her mom went to heaven. Emma reminds me of her. My mom went to heaven too, Ethan said simply. But Grandma says they turned into stars to watch over us. Maybe Emma's mom became the brightest star so she could see her from up there. That night, Benjamin cried for the first time since Catherine's funeral. He cried for the wife he'd lost, for the daughter who fought every day, for the boy who had lost so much and yet overflowed with love. Martha was discharged, but the doctors warned she needed heart surgery. The Medicare waiting list would take months, time she might not have. I'll pay for the surgery, Benjamin offered immediately. I can't accept that. The elderly woman held on to her dignity. You've already done so much for us. Do you have any idea what your grandson means to my daughter? To me? I do. But charity stings the pride of someone who was once somebody in life. Then how about a deal? Ethan interjected with his childlike logic. Uncle Benjamin helps Grandma get better, and I teach him how to make Emma laugh without me. Ethan, Martha scolded. I'm serious, Grandma. Uncle needs to learn how to be Emma's friend too. I can't always be here. The depth of the boy's words silenced the adults. Benjamin accepted the deal. The lessons began. Ethan patiently showed him how to hold the spoon, the right angle, the right speed. More importantly, he taught him how to talk to Emma. She understands everything, Uncle. She just can't speak properly yet. But if you pay attention to her eyes, you can tell what she wants. Benjamin discovered it was true. He began deciphering his daughter's signals, a certain sparkle when she was happy, a furrowed brow when something bothered her. For the first time since her birth, father and daughter were connecting. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, Gregory intensified his attacks. During a crucial meeting with Japanese investors, Benjamin got an urgent call. Emma was having seizures. Without hesitation, he left the meeting. You just lost a $50 million deal. Gregory shouted over the phone. You're proving my point. You're no longer fit to run this company. At the hospital, Emma was stabilized. The seizures were caused by an infection that, thankfully, was controlled in time. Ethan was by her bedside, holding her little hand. I knew you'd come, Uncle, the boy said. I told Emma her daddy always comes when she needs him. Rose, Benjamin's secretary of 15 years, appeared at the hospital. Mr. Benjamin, I need to tell you something. Gregory is calling an emergency meeting. He wants to vote you out as president. Let him vote, Benjamin replied without taking his eyes off his daughter. You don't understand. He's been manipulating the numbers, saying your absences have cost the company millions. Some shareholders are on his side. Rose, what's worth more, money or life? Life, of course. But you need both to take care of Emma. The observation was true. Emma's treatments were expensive, and now he'd also taken on Ethan and Martha's medical costs. It was Ethan who came up with an unusual idea. Uncle, why don't you take us to your company? That way, you can work and be with Emma. It's not that simple, champ. But it is. Grandma can stay with us there. She makes great coffee, and everyone will see how well you take care of Emma. The innocence of the suggestion held unexpected wisdom. The next day, Benjamin showed up at the office with Emma, Ethan, and Martha. He set up a space in the corner of his office for the kids. The effect was immediate. Employees who rarely interacted with their boss began stopping by to see the children. Emma, stimulated by the activity, seemed more alert. Ethan charmed everyone with his chatter. She's improving so much, remarked Karen from accounting. I remember when she was born, so tiny. You knew Emma as a baby. Benjamin was surprised. Of course. Mrs. Catherine used to bring her here all the time. She said it was important for the girl to know where her father worked. Benjamin discovered that many employees had memories of Catherine he knew nothing about. She ate lunch with the janitors, knew everyone's children's names, and quietly helped those in need. She paid for my prep course, revealed Johnny, the office boy. Today I'm in college because of her. She bought my father's wheelchair, added Melissa from HR. Story after story emerged. Catherine had woven an invisible web of kindness throughout the company. Gregory hadn't anticipated this loyalty. When he called the meeting to remove Benjamin, he faced unexpected resistance. With all due respect, Dr. Gregory, Rose began, but you don't know this company as well as you think. What does that have to do with Benjamin's incompetence? It has to do with the fact that 80% of key employees are here because of the Harrison family. If Mr. Benjamin leaves, we leave too. The revelation shocked the shareholders. One by one, employees stood up, sharing how Catherine had helped them, how Benjamin upheld her legacy without even realizing it. In the middle of the discussion, Ethan appeared at the meeting room door looking for Benjamin. Uncle, Emma did it. She lifted her little arm all by herself. Not now, Ethan, Gregory said sharply. The adults are talking. The man is angry, Ethan observed with childlike honesty. My grandma says angry people need hugs. Before anyone could stop him, the boy hugged Gregory's legs. The man froze, unsure how to react. There. Now the man can be happy, Ethan smiled before running off. The gesture broke the tension. Some shareholders laughed, others were moved. Perhaps, said Mr. Tanaka, the lead investor, we've been looking at this situation the wrong way. A company that inspires such loyalty has value beyond numbers. The vote was postponed. In the following days, something surprising happened. Productivity increased. Employees, motivated by the children's presence and the more humanized environment, worked with greater dedication. Emma did her physical therapy in Benjamin's office while he held video meetings. Ethan drew quietly in his corner, occasionally, showing his artwork to passers-by. Mrs. Martha brewed fresh coffee that filled the entire floor with its aroma. This is irregular, Gregory complained. A company isn't a daycare. But it's working, argued another partner. The numbers don't lie. Mrs. Martha's surgery was scheduled. The night before, she asked Benjamin for a private talk. I need to tell you something in case I don't make it through this surgery. You will. Listen, Catherine came to me 2 weeks before the accident. She was worried about something at the company, said Gregory had been making strange moves. What kind of moves? I don't know the details, but she was gathering documents. She told me if anything happened to her, I should go to you. But when she passed, you were so shattered, I couldn't bring myself to. Do you think the accident? I don't know, I just know your wife was scared, and Catherine wasn't one to scare easily. The revelation deeply unsettled Benjamin. He began discreetly investigating Gregory's actions in the months before Catherine's death. Mrs. Martha's surgery was successful, to everyone's relief. Ethan spent the whole day drawing pictures for her. "Look, Grandma, I drew you strong," like a superhero. During her recovery, she stayed at the Harrison home. It was there that Emma, with tremendous effort, spoke her first clear word. "Grandma." "She called me Grandma," Mrs. Martha wept. "This little doll called me Grandma." "We're a family now," Benjamin said emotionally. "If you agree." "I do. Catherine would be happy." The investigations into Gregory revealed irregularities. He had diverted funds to personal accounts using forged signatures from Catherine. The accident had happened 2 days after she confronted him. "I can't prove he caused the accident," Benjamin told the lawyer, "but I can prove the embezzlement. That's enough to remove him from the company and put him in jail. I don't want a scandal. Emma shouldn't grow up under that shadow. I just want him gone and to return what he stole." Confronted with the evidence, Gregory had no choice. He resigned and repaid the stolen money. Before leaving, he stopped by Benjamin's office. "You won," he said bitterly. "It wasn't a competition," Benjamin replied, watching Emma and Ethan play. "It was about choosing what truly matters." Months passed. Emma progressed beyond medical expectations. She could stand for a few seconds with support, and her vocabulary grew daily. Ethan, now healthy and well cared for, kept his natural sweetness. On what would have been Catherine's birthday, Benjamin organized a surprise. He took everyone to the building where Dorothy lived. "What are we doing here, Uncle?" Ethan asked. "Making Emma's mother's dream come true." Benjamin revealed the project, transforming the abandoned building into a community center. Dignified apartments for families, a physical therapy area for children with special needs, classrooms, and a communal dining hall. "The Catherine Harrison Community Center," he announced, "where children from all walks of life can grow up together." The opening was emotional. Families from the building wept seeing their new homes. Children with disabilities in the area would now have access to free treatment. Emma, supported by her new walker, took 3 steps on her own to cut the ribbon. Ethan stood beside her, ready to catch her if needed. "We did it, Em," he cheered. "We did it," she repeated with effort. Sparking applause. During the celebration, Dorothy pulled Benjamin aside. "Catherine would be proud." "I hope so." "Don't hope, be certain. You learned the most important lesson." "What's that?" "That love isn't measured in grand gestures, but in the patience to feed someone one spoonful at a time." A year later, the scene in the park repeated, but with one difference. Benjamin sat on the grass with Emma and Ethan, the 3 sharing a picnic. Emma, now nearly 4, could eat by herself with special adaptive utensils. "Daddy, tell the story," she asked, her speech still slow but understandable. "Which story?" "The one about the boy who taught me to eat," she pointed at Ethan. "Once upon a time," Benjamin began, "there was a very special boy with a superpower." "What was it?" Ethan played along. "The power to see with his heart. He saw a sad little girl and decided to be her friend. And he saved her," Emma finished. Actually, Benjamin hugged them both. He saved a whole family. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. Life moved forward with daily challenges. Emma still needed constant therapy, but every small progress was celebrated. Ethan grew up keeping his innate kindness, helping other children at the community center adjust. One morning, Benjamin found Ethan teaching a new boy how to interact with an autistic child. "You have to speak softly," he explained patiently, "and no sudden movements. They feel things differently than we do." "How do you know so much?" the other boy asked. "Because I learned to listen with my heart," Ethan replied simply. The community center became a model. Professionals volunteered their time, and business owners donated resources. But the most important thing was the bridges built between different worlds. At a parents' meeting, one mother shared, "My son used to be prejudiced. He thought poor children were different. Now his best friend is Johnny from the community. They play together every day." "That's the miracle," Mrs. Martha remarked. "When children grow up together, they don't see differences. They only see friends." Emma surprised everyone by expressing her desire to walk at Ethan's kindergarten graduation. "But sweetheart, you already walk with your walker," Benjamin gently reminded her. "I want to walk by myself, like Miggy." They intensified. Her physical therapy. Ethan was always there, encouraging her. "You can do it, Em, one little step at a time." On graduation day, Emma rose from her chair. With visible determination on her little face, she took 5 wobbly steps toward Ethan. The audience erupted in applause and tears. "I knew you could do it," Ethan whispered, hugging his friend. That night, Benjamin reflected on their journey. A chance meeting in the park had transformed not only their lives, but an entire community. Gregory Parker was arrested for other financial crimes discovered later. From prison, he sent a letter asking for forgiveness, saying envy had consumed him. Benjamin replied with a photo of Emma walking, writing only, "Forgiveness sets you free. Be free." The center expanded. It now included a program where young people from the community learned trades. Ethan, at 7, already showed an interest in medicine. "I want to be a children's doctor," he announced, "to help other Emmas." "That's a beautiful dream," Benjamin said. "It's not a dream, Uncle. It's a promise." Emma, meanwhile, developed surprising artistic skills. Her drawings, made with special adapters, showed a unique perception of the world. "She sees beauty where others see limitations," her art teacher observed. At a center exhibition, Emma's drawings were sold, and she decided to donate the money to buy wheelchairs for other children. "Why?" they asked. "Because everyone needs wheels sometimes," she replied with wisdom beyond her years. The friendship between Emma and Ethan became legendary in the neighborhood. They were inseparable, perfectly complementing each other. Where Emma had physical limitations, Ethan was her legs. Where Ethan had academic doubts, Emma was his brain. "They're soulmates," Mrs. Martha would say, "born to find each other." Years passed. The Catherine Harrison Community Center served thousands of families. Benjamin turned part of his business into a social enterprise, creating jobs in the community. On Emma's 10th birthday, she made a special request. "Dad, I want to throw a party for all the kids at the center." "All of them? There are hundreds." "Exactly. No one should be left out of a party." The party happened. It was simple but memorable. Emma, now walking with a cane, moved among the guests. Ethan, tall for his age, helped organize the games. During the birthday song, Emma asked for silence. "I want to thank my best friend, Ethan. Without him, I wouldn't be standing here. He taught me that limitations only exist if we let them." Ethan, emotional, replied, "And you taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about who chooses to be together every day." That evening, watching the children play in the garden, Benjamin found Mrs. Martha deep in thought. "What are you thinking about?" "How God writes straight with crooked lines. The tragedy that took Catherine brought Ethan to you. The abandonment he suffered prepared him to understand, Emma. Your early pain turned into all this beauty. Do you believe it was fate?" "I believe in choices. Ethan chose to help a stranger. You chose to overcome prejudice. Emma chose to fight every day. Those choices are what make miracles." A reporter wanted to write a story about their journey. During the interview, they asked Ethan, now 11 years old, what motivated him to help Emma that first day. "She looked sad," he answered simply. "And my grandma always said that when someone's sad, you offer what you have. I had patience and applesauce. I offered both." "And you, Emma?" The reporter turned to her. "What does Ethan mean to you?" "Everything," she replied without hesitation. "He saw me before I existed." "How so?" "Everyone saw a disabled child. Ethan saw Emma, just Emma. And when someone truly sees you, you begin to exist." The story went viral. Donations poured in from across the country. With the resources, they opened branches of the center in other communities. The philosophy was simple: bring people from different realities together through children. At a medical school graduation years later, Ethan, now 25, dedicated his diploma to 3 people. To my grandma Martha, who taught me dignity in poverty. To Benjamin, who showed me walls can become bridges, and to Emma, my best friend, who taught me that caring is the greatest form of love. Emma, now a psychology graduate, worked with children with disabilities. She had developed her own method based on her experience. The secret, she explained in talks, is not to focus on what's missing, but to nurture what's there. We all have hidden superpowers. Their wedding surprised few. It took place in the garden of the first community center, with thousands of people whose lives they had touched. "I promise," Ethan said in his vows, "to keep feeding you with patience, one spoonful of love at a time every day of my life." "And I promise," Emma replied, "to keep showing you there are no limits when two souls choose to walk together." Benjamin, officiating the ceremony, could barely speak from emotion. "You've taught me that family is built, that love is shown in small gestures, that prejudice is just fear of the unknown. Today, I'm not just marrying my daughter to the boy who saved her. I'm celebrating the union of two souls who saved us all." Dorothy, now 89, made the toast. "When Ethan was little, I prayed to God for an opportunity for him. God did better. He gave him a purpose. May this union keep creating miracles wherever it goes." The couple's first child was born healthy. They named him William Benjamin, honoring his grandparents. When the nurse placed him in Emma's arms, she cried, "He's perfect." "Like you," Ethan kissed her forehead, "perfect in your uniqueness." Their story became a book, then a movie. But nothing fully captured the magic of that first meeting in the park. 30 years after that fateful day, Emma and Ethan returned to the same bench in Central Park. She still used a cane on hard days, but walked with confidence. "Remember?" she asked. "How could I forget? You were so tiny and so sad. And you were so brave, so little, yet already taking care of me. I just did what my heart told me. And it changed my life. Our lives." They watched their grandchildren playing on the playground, a girl helping a smaller boy climb the slide. "Look at that," Ethan smiled. "History repeats itself." "No," Emma corrected. "History continues. Every act of kindness plants a seed. We're just one of the trees in this forest." Benjamin, now 75, joined them on the bench. "I still come here sometimes," he confessed, "to remember the miracle." "What miracle, Grandpa?" their granddaughter asked, walking over. "The miracle of discovering that love has no age, no social class, no limitations. Love just is." "And how do we recognize love?" the girl pressed. Emma answered, "True love is what feeds you when you can't do it alone. What has patience with your pace? What sees your soul before your body? What chooses to stay when it would be easier to leave?" "Like what you have?" the child asked. "Exactly," Ethan embraced Emma. "Like what we built, one spoonful at a time." The sun set over New York City, painting the sky in impossible colors. In the park, life went on. Hurried people, children playing, stories intertwining. But on that bench, 3 generations silently celebrated the transformative power of a simple gesture, a boy feeding a child with patience and love. "You know," Emma broke the silence, "sometimes I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't fed me that day." "I would have come back the next day," Ethan answered without hesitation, "and the next, until you accepted." "Why?" "Because some souls recognize each other, Em, and when that happens, the universe conspires to bring them together." Martha lived to be 95, long enough to see great-grandchildren and the legacy of love she had helped build. On her final bed, she held Ethan and Emma's hands. Live, love, serve. That's all that matters. Her passing was peaceful, surrounded by hundreds of lives she had touched. The community center established the Martha Dignity Award, given annually to those who turned hardships into service for others. The Catherine Harrison Community Centers spread across Brazil, each upholding the original philosophy, uniting different realities through mutual care. Emma wrote in her final book, "Disability isn't what's missing in our bodies, but what's missing in our souls." When Ethan fed me that day, he wasn't just nourishing my hungry body. He was feeding my hope, my faith in humanity, my ability to believe in unconditional love. Each of us hungers for something: understanding, acceptance, purpose. The question is, are we willing to feed another's hunger with the same patience we'd want for ourselves? My story with Ethan taught me that miracles don't fall from the sky ready-made. They're built day by day, in small choices, in gestures that seem insignificant but carry the power to change destinies. If you meet someone who's hungry for food, for love, for hope, don't wait until you're big enough to help. Ethan was only 4 years old and he changed my life. You are exactly the right age today to change someone else's. True love is proven in the patience of a spoonful, in the willingness to keep feeding even when there seems to be no progress, in the faith that every gesture matters, every attempt counts, every act of kindness echoes into eternity. May our story inspire not grand deeds, but small gestures. May every reader become an Ethan to some lost Emma in the world. May we build bridges where others see walls. And above all, may we never forget, we are all lacking in something, and we are all capable of healing someone else's lack. We need only choose to see with the heart. With eternal love and gratitude, Emma Harrison Wilson, the girl who learned to fly without leaving her wheelchair. Benjamin lived to 92, long enough to see the empire of love that began with a meeting in the park. In his final days, Ethan and Emma cared for him with the same patience he had learned to embrace. Was it worth it? He asked one bright morning. Every second. Emma held his hand. Thank you for letting me live, Dad. Thank you, he smiled, for teaching me how to live. He passed peacefully, leaving a legacy far beyond money or property, proof that a life can be utterly transformed by a single act of kindness. At the funeral, thousands gathered. But the most moving moment came when a choir of children with disabilities, all beneficiaries of the centers, sang a song composed by Emma. When love finds a way, no mountain can stand. When one heart chooses another, miracles happen. A spoon, a story, a gesture that transforms, patience that nourishes, love taking shape. Ethan and Emma carried on the work. Their children grew up in the centers, learning early on that privilege exists to be shared, that differences exist to complete us. In an interview on their 50th wedding anniversary, someone asked their secret. There's no secret, Emma answered. Just choice. We choose every day to keep nurturing our love. One spoonful at a time, Ethan added, making her laugh just like on the first day. The network of centers now served 500,000 people annually, but the numbers didn't capture the essence. Every life transformed, every prejudice overcome, every bridge built between worlds that would never have touched. Their eldest son, William, took over the leadership of the centers. A doctor like Ethan, he upheld the tradition of treating each patient as unique. I learned from my parents, he'd say, we don't treat illnesses, we treat people. And people need more than medicine. They need hope, dignity, love. Their daughter, Catherine, became an artist. Her works, inspired by her mother's resilience, adorned hospitals and rehabilitation centers across the country. Art heals, she explained, because it reminds us that beauty can arise from pain. Their grandchildren grew up in this environment of service. Naturally, they gravitated toward caring professions, nursing, therapy, special education. The seed planted by a 4-year-old boy had grown into a mighty tree. One day, at one of the centers, a familiar scene repeated itself. A wealthy, apathetic girl being fed by a poor boy. The story spread, reaching Ethan and Emma. Should we intervene? The administrators asked. No, Emma smiled. Let the magic happen. Just watch. And when the moment comes, help build another bridge. And so, the story continued. No longer just the story of Ethan and Emma, but of thousands of Ethans and Emmas who found each other daily, who chose to look beyond appearances, who dared to love unconditionally. In the final chapter of his autobiography, Ethan wrote, "If you ask me my greatest medical achievement, I won't mention the complex surgeries or published papers. I'll mention the day I, at 4 years old, decided a sad girl needed to eat. I didn't save Emma that day. We saved each other. She gave me purpose, I gave her hope. Together, we discovered that true love isn't a feeling, it's action, it's choice, it's patience. Today, when young doctors ask me about vocation, I say, vocation is seeing another's hunger, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, and choosing to feed it. With skill, yes, but above all with love. May every reader find their specific hunger to satisfy in the world. May they discover their unique way of nourishing souls. May they build their own story of mutual transformation. And may they never ever forget, no gesture is small when made with great love. From a boy who grew up feeding others, Dr. Ethan Wilson. The book became required reading in courses on compassionate medicine, but Ethan preferred when children read it and decided to be kinder at recess. Emma kept working until she was 70, when a fall forced her to use a wheelchair permanently. The irony wasn't lost on her. "I've come full circle," she joked. "No," Ethan corrected. "You've transcended. Before, the chair limited you. Now, it's just your vehicle. You've been flying for decades, my love." They adapted their home, kept up their activities. Emma created an online channel where she taught children with disabilities to develop self-esteem. Disability, she'd repeat, is just one of our traits. It doesn't define us any more than eye color or skin tone. What defines us are our choices. At 78, Emma had a stroke. She temporarily lost her speech and mobility on her right side. Ethan became her primary caregiver, reversing the roles of a lifetime. "Now," he said tenderly, "it's my turn to feed you with patience." And he did. Every meal was an act of love. Every exercise, a declaration. Every day, a renewed choice. Emma had partially recovered. Her speech returned, though slow, her movements limited, but the sparkle in her eyes remained untouched. "You know," she said one afternoon, "I think I needed to go through this." "Why?" "To complete the circle. We started with you feeding me. We ended the same way. It's poetic." "We're not ending," Ethan protested. "We still have so much to live." And they did. 5 more years of deep companionship, of comfortable silences, of shared memories, of a legacy solidified. Emma passed away on a spring morning, cradled in Ethan's arms. Her last words were, "Thank you for your patience, for every spoonful." The funeral was a celebration. Thousands testified to how Emma had changed their lives. Children, now adults, whom she had helped accept their limitations and discover their strengths. Ethan lived 2 more years. He continued working at the centers, now renamed the Emma and Ethan Centers for Human Development. In one of his last talks, he said, "People ask me about grief, how I cope with Emma's absence. I tell them, she isn't absent. She's in every child who learns to love themselves, in every family that overcomes prejudice, in every act of patience happening right now somewhere. True love doesn't die, it multiplies. Emma taught me that when we feed someone with love, that love keeps nourishing others in an endless chain. Be a link in that chain. Feed someone today, with food, if they're physically hungry, with words, if they hunger for hope, with presence, if they long for companionship, with patience if they crave understanding. That's how we change the world, one spoonful at a time." Ethan left this world peacefully, seated on the same park bench where it all began. A boy found him, thinking he was asleep. Upon closer inspection, he saw the serene smile on his face. The legacy lived on, the centers multiplied, the philosophy spread. Generations were moved by the story of the boy who fed a girl and changed the world. Today, 25 years after their passing, their great-grandchildren oversee an international network of care. The Brazilian model of integration through mutual support is studied in universities. But the most important moments happen far from the spotlight. They happen when a child shares their lunch, when someone shows patience toward another's limitations, when love triumphs over prejudice. In the park, a discreet plaque marks the bench where it all began. Here, love taught us, there are no small gestures, only big hearts in bodies of all sizes. In memory of Ethan and Emma Wilson and all who choose to feed the world one spoonful of love at a time. And so, every day, somewhere, an Ethan finds an Emma, and the miracle begins anew. Because true love knows no end, only transformation. The end, and you, dear reader, what did you think of this journey of love and resilience? Let us know in the comments if you too believe small gestures can change lives. Subscribe for more soul-touching stories.